to that ceremony virtually online.
Thanks to technology, we will try to bridge the distance between Jerusalem and Pristina and try to feel as if we are all together in one big global hall. Apart from the distinguished delegations from Israel and Kosovo, which will be presented by their excellencies, the ministers, I would like to recognize our special guests, colleagues and friends from the United States. In Washington, D.C., Deputy Assistant Secretary Matthew Palmer. In Pristina, American Ambassador, His Excellency Philip Kosnet. And in Jerusalem, American Chargé d'Affaires Jonathan Schreier. After completing a very good and candid bilateral meeting between Ministers Ashkenazi and Hardinai, we are moving now to the ceremonial part of this historic and meaningful event. We will begin our ceremony by signing 3 bilateral agreements. First to be signed is the joint communiqué on the establishment of diplomatic relations between Israel and Kosovo. The communiqué will be signed in 4 copies, in English, Hebrew, Albanian, and Serbian. Please, if you can hand over the copies of the agreement to be signed.
You are watching live images out of Jerusalem right now. Israel's Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi adding his signature here in Israel, and very shortly in Kosovo, Melisa Haradinaj-Stubler, the Foreign Relations Minister in Kosovo, will be doing exactly the same. We're going to keep watching as these agreements, these bilateral agreements, are being signed. And with me still in studio, our senior international affairs correspondent, Owen Alterman. Break down for us what's happening right now.
Well, listen, Benita, obviously the two countries now going through the process of officially formalizing their diplomatic relations. And so you do that through the signing of these documents. And we're going to see Foreign Minister Ashkenazi doing it right now. And we'll soon see the Kosovar Foreign Minister do it as well. In some sense, this is the highlight of the ceremony right at the top. This is when the documents are signed. This is when the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and the signature is put on the signature line. And the diplomatic relations are done. And the deed is done. Hopefully after that, we'll hear a little bit from each of the two capitals and each of the two ministers. And they'll each be able to express how they see the impact and the meaning of what they're doing and of this event. A long time in coming. This is an issue that in Israel had been debated over the course of a decade. Should Israel or should Israel not recognize Kosovo and enter into diplomatic relations with it? And this is what's so important to emphasize. This is why Kosovo is so different from the other 4 countries with which Israel has normalized over the last year. A lot of people confuse them, say they're all Muslim countries, they're all countries with which Israel didn't have relations. But Kosovo is different because in the case of Kosovo, it wasn't that the Kosovars didn't want to recognize Israel. They would have been happy to do it the day after they declared independence. It's the hesitation was here in Jerusalem for reasons we'll talk about later.
Right now, let's step back into that online ceremony.
We will move now to the second part of the ceremony, in which Ministers Ashkenazi and Hardinai will deliver their statements, and we will begin with Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel, Gabi Ashkenazi. Please deliver your message.
Thank you, Nick. His Excellency Kosovan Prime Minister Abdallah Houthi, Madam Foreign Minister, my colleague Melisa Haradinaj, U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary Matthew Palmer, Ambassador Kosmet, Chargé d'Affaires Jonathan Schreier. Today we are making history. We are establishing a diplomatic relationship between Israel and Kosovo, a moment that many have been waiting for. I think this is the first time in history that diplomatic relationships are being established via Zoom. Today is an opportunity to increase our relationship with the Kosovo people, who have a warm and friendly relationship with Israel, as we discussed prior to this meeting. Our agreement is part of a series of agreements that understanding the signed in Washington. In this occasion, I want to thank the United States for their efforts to promote peace around the world and to advance Israeli relationship with country which we have not had diplomatic relationship until recently. The process of normalization, the so-called the Abraham Accord, peace with our neighbors in the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan, are no less than a paradigm-changing events. They reflect a change in the region and in the Arab world and the Muslim world's relationship with Israel. The establishment of a relationship between Kosovo and Israel is yet another important, exciting, and historic step. This morning, I received your formal request, Madam Minister, to open your embassy in Jerusalem, which of course I approve, and I look forward to seeing it open very soon, hopefully with you. Israel has followed Kosovo's development since its establishment. During the difficult days of the war, war, Israel treated Kosovo refugees and wounded. More than 100 Kosovo children were brought to Israel to study. We know the price of war. Israel wants a stable Balkans. The agreement signed in Washington on a joint economic progress between our two friends, Serbia and Kosovo, encourages us. Israel considers Serbia as a close and significant partner in the Balkans. We will work to continue to deepen our dialogue with Serbia. I want to express special appreciation to President Vučić for his leadership and for leading the close relationship with Israel. I want to promote bilateral relationship between Israel and Kosovo and build bridges as we talk in many areas, including medicine, tourism, innovation, economy, health, almost everything that we can bring to the table. We are also signing 2 additional agreements today. One regarding political consultation and the other on partnership with Mashab and agriculture. The worldwide corona pandemic is also an area where we will work together. In fact, initial talk between medical professionals from both countries have already begun. Madam Minister, I saw you remark on International Holocaust Remembrance Day, as well as your decision to adopt the IRA definition of anti-Semitism. Thank you very much for your key role, the key role that you have taken in the fight against anti-Semitism. It's highly important for us and for the world. I would like also to congratulate Ines Dimiri, who will be Kosovo's ambassador, the first one to Israel, and join us today. I promise that we will do everything we can help to make you a successful trip. Minister, thank you and congratulations to us both on this historical day. We wish luck to both countries.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Foreign Minister of the State of Israel. And we move now to a statement from Pristina, delivered by Foreign Minister of Kosovo, Madame Harginai. Please.
Thank you so much. Dearest people of the Republic of Kosovo, thank you for having entrusted me the honor and the privilege to sign on your behalf today. Honorable Minister Ashkenazi, thank you for your will and hard work to make this historic day a reality. Honorable Prime Minister Hoti, thank you for having signed the Washington Agreement for the Economic Normalization of Relations in the Oval Office in September 4th, 2020 in Washington, D.C., including this very important commitment coming to fruition today. Honorable Mr. Faton Peytsim, on behalf of Madam President Vjosa Osmani Sadriu, thank you for being with us today to mark this historic day for Kosovo and its people. Dear United States of America, eternally grateful for the bipartisan support we have always received from you. The establishment of these diplomatic relations today would not have been possible without the blessing and the strong commitment of the United States. And I have to mention former President Donald Trump, the Special Presidential Envoy Richard Grenell, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, the State Department, and also the recent support for the Washington Agreement we received by the new Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. Honorable Ambassador Kosnet, most sincere gratitude for your daily dedication and commitment to bridge our countries together and to advise us on the right direction. Honorable colleagues from both the State of Israel, fellow ministerial cabinet, deputy MPs and ministers, my personal appreciation for your commitment to implementing the Washington Agreement pledges, which includes also Kosovo's mutual recognition with the State of Israel. Honored families Reznici and Shoari here with us today, thank you for maintaining our common values as a people and for serving as a bridge between our people and cultures during the hardest times. Dear Jewish community of Kosovo, Mr. Demire, thank you for being here to witness a historic achievement that brings joy to the people of Kosovo and to the Jewish people everywhere. Dear guests and dear media, thank you for being here to carry on the message of this historic day through time and space. Shalom. Kosovo has waited for a very long time to establish diplomatic relations with Israel. On this important day, we mark a new chapter in the historical bond between our countries who have witnessed a long and challenging path to existing as a people and to becoming states. Today, Israel becomes the 117th country to recognize the Republic of Kosovo as the independent, as sovereign state. Thank you. Our peoples enjoy a history of friendship. We have stood together next to each other in our most difficult moments, and today we start a journey as two states. We remember very well how in 1999, Israel hosted our families fleeing the war. And I am proud that the citizens of Kosovo are honored by Yad Vashem for saving the lives of many Jewish families during the World War II. We uphold the same values of democracy and freedom. That will be the foundation for our dynamic partnership, committed to promoting peace and good relations with all countries of the world. The Republic of Kosovo is established by the will of the people as a secular, modern state. With its rich diversity, young and innovative population, strategic geopolitical location, and commitment to peace, prosperity, multilateralism, and collective security. As a valuable and responsible member of the international community, and grateful to all our friends who've stood with us until today and in the future. We are most grateful to our eternal ally, the United States of America, who have not only salvaged us from the genocidal war, but have also given life to the will of our people for democracy and freedom in the form of the Republic of Kosovo. We are forever grateful for bridging our states together through today's act, a derivative of the Washington Agreement. Your unwavering support for the unique sui generis independence of Kosovo is proof of a trust laid on our just and unparalleled existence as an independent state. From here today, we also kindly ask all other countries who have not done so yet to recognize the friendly and peaceful loving nation and the independence of Kosovo. Today, we seal the commitment to contribute to a prosperous and peaceful world one where we break the attempts to reverse the independence of Kosovo, creating a catalyst for a new era of universal recognition and friendship. We sign a pledge for international cooperation, exporting to the world a relationship as prosperous as ours, rejoicing our common bridges of cooperation and strongly committed to follow course with all other states in the near future. This ceremony today is a testimony for decades to come. We have overcome the toughest challenges and made great strides and sacrifices to provide the best for the people of Kosovo. By formalizing this bond between our states, not only we have achieved that, but we have also guaranteed for the future a relationship that strengthens Kosovo's international subjectivity, multiplies the prospects for better neighborly relations with all, and also opens a new horizon of cross-cooperation with the world. Today, we write a golden page in the history of our peoples and for our states. We have become part of history. We are the embodiment of our people's fight for freedom, peace, and independence. Today, we enthusiastically also invite Israeli companies to come and invest in Kosovo while we're offering safeguards and guarantees for their investments. Thank you, honorable guests, for being with us here today. Virtually, if not in person, we look forward to many years of friendship ahead. Shalom and Toda Raba. Long live the Republic of Kosovo. God bless its people and its friends, the United States of America and the State of Israel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was very exciting to hear you, and I couldn't agree more with you. God bless America, Kosovo, and Israel, and its ceremony for decades to come.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kosovo and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel, for your words and messages. On our side, we are ready to countersign. I hope also that on your side the agreements are ready to be countersigned.
While we wait a few more minutes, we can continue with a program we've agreed. We're still waiting for the counter signature.
Okay. So we will move now, before countersigning the agreements, to the unveiling of the plaque that is intended to be placed in front of the newly established future embassy of Kosovo in Jerusalem. Originally, ladies and gentlemen, the plaque was supposed to be unveiled by Her Excellency the Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs Ashkenazi in person here in Jerusalem, but because of the circumstances, you have sent it to us. We have placed it here in Jerusalem, and the plaque will be unveiled by Minister Gabi Ashkenazi in front of your eyes in Pristina. So I will invite...
Thank you. May I please ask the minister to unveil the gift? Thank you.
Yeah, just a minute.
You all ready? One second.
Melissa, are you ready?
We're ready.
I promise I'll do it again once we will open the embassy. We'll do it on the side as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, and congratulations. Thank you. It's a great honor for us to remain committed to the pledges we've made to the Washington Agreement, which also includes establishing mutual recognition between Kosovo and the State of Israel and formalizing our diplomatic relations. Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you.
So,
Are we ready to countersign on your side?
we're still waiting. We're still waiting for a few. Please bear with us for a few more minutes.
Okay, we realize that this is a technologically challenging event, and we bear with you completely. I think, Madam Minister, if you can just recognize the presence on your side, because we cannot see it on the screen, of course, your Honorable Prime Minister, for Deputy four Deputy Prime Ministers, two former Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Kosovo, the head of the Jewish community in Kosovo, Mr. Demiri, and two family members of the Albanians that hold the title Righteous Among Nations from Yad Vashem for assisting in saving Jews during the Holocaust, which we, of course, are very appreciative of here in the State of Israel. And we want to thank for this very important presence of your leadership in this ceremony today.
Thank you so much. They're sending their best regards. I'm not sure if you can all see everyone's presence in the room, but they're sending their best regards and congratulations. So I think we're ready now to countersign, and I'm sorry for the delays and the technical.
No problem at all. So the first agreement again that will be countersigned is the joint communique on the establishment of diplomatic relations.
Again?
Signed in 4 languages.
Right.
כהנא, לא שומעים, כהנא. לעבור לשני?
The next to be countersigned is the Memorandum of Understanding on diplomatic consultations between foreign ministers. And the third is the Memorandum of Understanding on Development Cooperation. Thank you very much. All documents have been signed successfully.
Play the joint communique.
Yeah, we will have now a photo op of both ministers with a joint communique.
Right.
בוא תעמוד פה ליד דגלים.
אפשר פולדר? פולדר.
שלי כמוה. אתה רוצה בפולדר? תביא בפולדר. One with the folder, they said.
לא משנה נייר.
לא משנה נייר, גם פולדר.
רק שלא יפול.
One with the open folder, Madame John. Open. Yeah, that's.
You're watching live images of an historic ceremony, a virtual ceremony, images coming out of Jerusalem and out of Pristina, Kosovo, formally establishing full diplomatic relations with Israel, and the signing happening as we speak in 4 different languages. With me in studio, Senior International Affairs Correspondent Owen Alterman. L'chaim right now on our screens, which of course means to life. We're watching Gabi Ashkenazi drinking. I'm not sure if this always happens, whether it's online or not. L'chaim to life. Owen, talk us through what we just heard.
Well, listen, obviously, aesthetically, we saw the more polished half of the ceremony coming in from Kosovo, and the other half, I guess we could describe as Israeli informal. But obviously an important event for both countries. And it's interesting, Benita, when you hear each of the foreign ministers speak, how he and then she each spoke really from the country's own narratives. For Israel, speaking about how this is, in some ways at least, although of course it's very, very different, connected to the wave of normalization from the Abraham Accords. We're now hearing the clapping on the screen. And of course, connected with the issue of Jerusalem and the establishing of the Kosovar embassy in Jerusalem. And from the Kosovar perspective, Benita, so much of the speech really wasn't about Israel. It was about Kosovo, its fight for international recognition, its success, Israel being the 117th country to do so. It's a real achievement from the perspective of the Kosovar diplomats. And of course, the connection with the United States, which was important to both countries. We haven't yet heard, at least, from the American representative, although he is part of the ceremony. Again, all of this a virtual ceremony in any event. But the U.S. brokering the deal through the Trump administration was obviously a very important part of this to get this done and get this to the finish line. And this is meant to be a moment for the United States as well. The United States bringing together, of course, its close ally in Israel and Kosovo, with which the United States has an important relationship, and to be able to bring both of them together. And we saw that again with the American flag behind each of the foreign ministers.
I want to pick up on an issue we discussed a short while ago, and it's interesting because